What's going on, guys? Greg here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have something really special. We're starting a new series, and this is the first episode where we go out, we meet with local owners and feature their unique builds on the channel. So here we have Ben.
Hey guys.
With his 1986 Nissan 200 SX. So today we're going to be doing a full feature on this car, and we're going to have Ben introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about it.
Hi guys, my name's Ben. This is my 1986 Nissan 200 SX. I've had this car for about a year now, and I've been in love with it since the day I bought it. Kind of what drew me to it at first, I've always loved like big, boxy, square 80s cars, but you know, this was an impulse buy for me. I was looking at some other stuff, some MR2s, some Supras, but this ended up being the one for me. It has 150,000 miles, it's got a 5-speed manual transmission. I've owned it for a bit over a year now. I bought it off a guy in Rochester, New York. When I bought it, it had some issues. It had an ignition problem, there were some motor issues, didn't have an exhaust, it had a bunch of leaks. It was, you know, it's a clean shell with not a lot of rust, but it definitely had a lot of problems that were keeping it from being a nice road car. So I picked it up for, I got it for $3,700 at the time. Right now, I'm about 10 grand into the project, including purchase price, which, you know, for me, that's pretty much a win. So the starting point was dealing with the motor problems. Originally, I was going to swap it to a CA18 or some other nicer turbo motor. Ran into some, you know, financial complications and some other issues with getting that job done. So I ended up just opting to start clean. I got a new CA20 from a guy down in Jersey, swapped that in, and it's been running like mint ever since. I had an exhaust made. It's all cheap Amazon parts with mild steel piping. Got a Thrush turbo muffler in the back with a Thrush glass pack in the middle to take some harshness out of it. It's definitely still got a nice tone to it, but it's nice and quiet so that I don't annoy the neighbors. Is the original paint. It's, you know, got a lot of years on it, a lot of miles on it, so there's some pock marks, there's some burn through, but honestly, for 40-year-old paint, doesn't look half bad. I can't really complain about that aspect of it. I did just cut and buff it the other day and throw some wax on it, so it looks really nice right now. That's about it. I've done a lot of interior cosmetic stuff. I've cleaned the seats, I've done some reupholstery work. When I got it, it was a smoker's car, so I ended up having to use a carpet extractor to get a lot of the stuff clean. Gabe can attest it smelled horrific, but it's a lot better now. Had to track down some interior parts, some exterior parts off some guys in the community. Overall, it's, you know, been mostly a fun experience other than when it wasn't running, but now that I'm, you know, making progress on it and getting through with it, it's really been a nice car. I'm enjoying it.
Definitely is a really clean car. So this thing is what, 37-year-old Nissan, and the paint looks really, really nice. Like, we don't really see these cars on the road ever. And the S12 is such an underrated chassis. Like, everyone focuses on the S13, the S14, and obviously then the S15. Everyone's trying to get their hands on one of those right now. But Ben, you got this car, so you were 18 when you got this, right?
Yeah, I was 18 when I picked it up.
So now you're 19.
Yep.
So it's really cool to see the young generation into cars that are, you know, basically double his age. And this is my first time actually seeing an S12 in person. And I even told him that it really looks like the 86 Toyota. So he gets that a lot as well. But it's pretty much exterior wise, all stock, all original. And I think that's a really good thing. A lot of people modify these, they lower them, they put crazy wheels on them. And I think those are your plans eventually in the future, right?
So I don't really want to fully cut it up and go crazy with it. I'm kind of going for like a stock plus resto mod sort of build. I have some nice summer wheels for it. They're SSR Longchamps. At some point or another, I want to convert to S13 suspension because it's a bit more modern. You have more options for parts availability as opposed to the aging, very parts binned suspension that the S12 comes with stock. It's very hard to find parts for these things at times. So converting to that is definitely the next big thing on the docket for getting it to where I want it. But in terms of exterior appearance, I'm really happy with how it looks stock. So really just getting the fitment I want, cleaning it up, making sure it's nice and complete. That's kind of my goal with it. I might, you know, go do some paint work at some point because it's definitely got a couple of problem spots. But on the whole, I'm really happy with how it looks at the moment. So that's going to be the biggest thing, getting the fitment I want, getting it to a level of polish where I'm happy with it, and just, you know, preserving it, keeping it going on the road. because ultimately I want to drive it. I like driving it around and showing it to people. One other thing with like the modification stuff, I think at some point I might also try to modernize the powertrain a little bit. It's not really in the current plans because I just got a new motor for it and it's running great, but definitely at some point I want something with a bit more beans because, you know, it's got 90 wheel horsepower. It could definitely use a little bit of more of a pep.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and open the engine. Take a look at this.
Let me get this open for you. So this motor, it's not a very sporty motor. They used it in Stanzas and some other small cars at the time. It's a CA20E, so it's a 2-liter single cam, 2 valves per cylinder, fuel injected motor from the 80s. Only makes about 98 horsepower, at least that was what it was rated for originally. It's not, you know, fast or fancy, but it runs really damn good for a 40-year-old motor with the original internals, so I can't complain. I have had to, you know, work through a lot of vacuum stuff and figure out what I can delete and what needs to stay, but overall, they're really decent engines to work on other than a couple of weird quirks with them.
There we go. There we go.
All right.
Let me back it up so it's back at the spot. Sorry.
The car hasn't really moved in a while, so the battery's dead. We just had to bump start it real quick. But now we're back in action.
$35 muffler and some cheap Amazon tubing, so can't complain.
So Ben, coming from me, when I got all my first project cars, my parents were really against the whole idea of buying these clapped out cars and investing a ton of money into them and wasting all my time. What do your parents think about you with this car?
I got a lot of pushback. My parents, when I first bought this thing, oh boy, they were livid, absolutely livid. Yeah, my mom she screamed at me. She's like, "What the hell are you doing? Why did you spend $3 grand on a piece of garbage?" All this stuff. But now they tolerate it mostly. They know that how much I get out of it, so they're okay with it as long as I don't really annoy them with it.
Yeah, so I told my parents, I kind of joke around with them at it. I'm like, would you rather me wasting my time with cars or wasting my time drinking and doing drugs?
That's what I've said. I always make that argument. I'm like, you know, at least this is productive. I'm restoring something. I'm making it better, having a good time. I'm using my time wisely, and I don't see why that's such a big
Exactly.
issue.
And I'm sure you probably get it a lot, but from your family or friends, like, oh, I have an issue with my car. Can you help me with it? Or can you answer a question about it? Or I'm going car shopping. Can you come with me to go look at it and see if there's any issues with it? So people say it's a waste of time. Oh, you know, you should spend your time doing other things more productively. But at the end of the day, it ends up becoming like, oh, well, you're an asset now. So, Greg, can you come with me car shopping? Is this a good deal? Are there any issues with the car? Things like that. And then last week we went with Eric to go pick up a Supra. So just having that car knowledge and things like that, I think is such a great thing in the young generation, especially. So I got two more questions actually for you, Ben. So what have been your best and worst experience with this car ownership so far?
I've got some stories. We'll start with the best moments. I think one of my favorite moments was the first time I ever got it running, brought it out in the street and did a pull with it. It was heavenly. That was one of my best experiences with this car. Absolutely memorable. Other than that, I think just every time I get something where like I'm happy with it and it's back to where it should be, that's gold for me. I always love those moments. Now, some worst moments, when I had this car in storage for a little bit when it was in Rochester. When I went to go pick it up and try to get it running, I had a couple of friends come and help me. Oh boy, that was a weekend filled with trouble. It was just issue after issue after issue. We couldn't find parts, this and that. There were definitely some bad moments during that weekend, but it's where it is now, and I'm happy with the state of the car.
Awesome to hear that. Yeah, so when you have these project cars, there's always going to be positive and negative moments.
That's how it goes. Don't go in with the expectation that you're going to be able to fix this in this amount of time. it's more of an experience of you're going to have to figure things out. You're going to have to be forced to learn and adapt, and that takes time. Don't ever feel bad if it's going to take you longer than expected to fix a problem.
Yeah, I mean, even at your age, when I was 19, I wasn't even at the level of working on cars that Ben is. He did a whole engine swap on this thing by himself, without a lift or anything like that, all in this house, in this garage. Yep. And that's really, really impressive. So most people are, 25 in their 30s, don't even know how to do something like that, such as a simple oil change or changing their tire. So that's awesome. Really happy to see that. And last question, Ben, any piece of advice you would give to people who are into cars that are your age or younger than you?
Yes, I have a big one. Make friends. Like, seriously, when you're starting out as an enthusiast and you don't know what you're doing, any tips or tricks, anything that you need to know, go out and meet people. Like enthusiast groups, car meets, online forums, whatever you got to do. Go meet people who are more knowledgeable than you and can give you advice on how to do stuff right. When I started out this project, I didn't know anything. Putting things together, using tools, just how to make good decisions when you're assembling stuff. But over time, I've made friends with people who are in the car world, have experience with parts, have experience with working on cars, and can point me in the right direction whenever I'm lost on an issue or trying to do something. It's always nice when you have people who know more than you to contact and just say, hey, how do I do this? That's the best piece of advice I can give you. Just go out there, meet new people, and make connections. Never know when you need them for.
All right, guys, you heard Ben. So definitely networking is super important in the car community, especially if you want to learn more about cars. Go to meets, talk to other owners, join Facebook groups, everything, Instagram pages. A lot of people, especially like true car enthusiasts, are really open to helping each other out, answering questions. I have my own tight-knit car group, and it's an Instagram group chat with all my close buddies. Whenever I have any questions, I go in there and I ask them. I send them a link to a car. Hey, is this car a good buy? Is it a good build? Because there's a lot of R32 GTRs out there that are complete junk. So you don't know what's been done to those cars. And just by sending them a link and them looking at the pictures and the quality of the work and the mods that were done, they can immediately tell me that car's a piece of crap, stay away from it, or I would only bid up to like 18,000 for it. Something like that. So definitely go out, make your friends, network, and you'll learn a lot about that. And if you're trying to tackle this all on your own, if you don't have really a close car community by you, the other thing I would do is to read the forums, check out YouTube videos. I learned how to work on cars mainly from watching other people doing it and trying to replicate that. And obviously when you do that, you learn through your mistakes and you figure out shortcuts. You get the tools that you need, and ultimately I've learned a lot from then. I bought a lot of tools, accumulated a lot of knowledge, and met a lot of great people who were able to share that knowledge with me and get to the point in life where I am now. So again, we are 61 cars deep into the past 10 years, and you learn a lot through that as well. So it's just a lot of fun to do that. We're gonna close out this video. We're gonna go for a quick drive with Ben. He's gonna take us out on the road, and we'll see how she does.
Key is in the ignition.
Cool.
Key is in the ignition.
She'll also do this.
Lights are on.
All right, let's go for a drive.
Yeah. Sorry, I haven't driven this thing in a while. I'm so used to my Corolla's clutch.
So same week, we are now in two different 80s cars. We got an 86 Nissan today. The other day we had an 89 Supra. And we got red interior again. Red was huge in the 80s.
Oh, sorry. It's got a misfire, I forgot. Yeah.
Oh, the joys of
37-year-old
cars,
ownership.
Right? It's all good. It runs and drives.
Runs and drives, yeah, and it runs a lot better than it used to, so I'm happy with it. I have no no idea how fast we're going because the broken speedometer.
We're going the speed limit, don't worry.
Yep.
Not even.
Everything feels faster in this car because it's so small.
I really like the little
The idiot lights on the right side?
indicator, yeah.
They're cool, right?
I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, okay, it's not happy with that right now.
So this car makes a solid 98 horsepower.
Currently probably around 70 because the misfire being funny. We'll see about that.
It feels really nice, actually. The
Yeah.
suspension's soft.
You know,
There's no
it's-
like weird knocks or anything like that.
I think the only funny clunking right now is from the exhaust. We routed it funny when we built it. We did it over the axle rather than under, like a lot of S13 exhausts go, because they didn't really know what we were doing at the time. So definitely need to work on routing for that. But otherwise, I mean, it's a nice, comfy, mushy 80s car. It just does what I ask it to.
And I was gonna say, like, the dash on this car is really clean.
Yeah, it's shockingly not cracked. The only part that's a little weird is like up above my cluster trim, which I'm gonna work on a little bit. But otherwise, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, because I know the Skylines, at least, the R32, my car is pretty mint, and I still have little bubbles here and there along the dash, but this one is really clean, I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed by it for sure. A lot of these have cracked dashes, they're missing interior pieces. Mine just happens to have everything somehow.
Yeah, I mean, even like your door panels, the fabric and all that, the switches, the handle, it's all really clean. I mean, yeah, you got a little hole here and there on
But otherwise,
the vinyl or the
yeah.
leather here, but it's nice. The seats are in really good shape. There's no holes or anything like that. This is awesome. I truly respect this build, Ben.
Thank you.
And I respect you for taking on such a huge challenge for this car.
Always love to hear it. Always love to hear it, man. Thank you. Got it.
All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the series. We hope to get a lot of cool cars on the channel and feature them, put them under the spotlight, because Ben doesn't really advertise his car really anywhere except for Instagram, so I want to put it out for you guys to watch and enjoy and learn from Ben, and honestly motivate all you guys, especially the young people, to work on your own cars. And even if you don't like working on your cars, at least you can follow along with the build. And when you do get your own car, or if you have a car already that you haven't really modified yet, you know, go ahead and tackle it. It's always fun to work on cars yourself. And honestly, you know, all the banged bruises and all the blood, shed, and tears, but it's really worth it at the end of the day. So thank you, Ben, for being on the channel. We'll see you guys in the next one.